Hello, Nikolai Markovich from Echolake Technologies, echolaketech.com. In this video, I'm going to show you how to use custom states to show and hide groups on your page, as well as basically any element that you put on your page. And this is very useful for creating mobile apps, particularly native mobile apps. And what you'll need to do for those is you'll basically be creating your whole app on the index page. And on that index page, you'll have a lot of groups that you'll be showing and hiding. So using custom states is a great way of quickly showing and hiding different elements and groups on a page. And it's, from a performance perspective, very good. So instead of creating multiple pages, such as I have here, you basically can create groups on one page and then go and hide those or show those as needed. And I'll walk through that in this video. So first, what I've done on here is I've just created a couple different groups here. So I've got group 1, group 2, group 3, and basically I have these showing here, but I also have, let me click open the elements tree. So I've got three big ones, bigger groups here. And so I've got these groups and they're stacked on top of one another. So you can see when I get to the demo how this is going to look. Actually, let's just quickly do a demo here. So I've got the page loaded. And then when I click on the button, it's basically going to show the respective group. And as I was mentioning, so a group can have different functionality. So this group here might be set up for a user profile. This one you might have a calendar, and you might have some messaging capabilities on here. So when the groups are stacked on top of one another, again, the respective one is shown and the other ones are hidden. Here I've got them cascaded. And so basically we'll walk through how to implement this. Now the first thing we're going to need to do is create some custom states. And there's a couple of different ways to do this, but let's walk through this one first. And it's going to start with a workflow. So these different buttons, these three different buttons are going to go and drive the workflow. So I've got button 1, button 2, and button 3 here, and they're pretty much identical if you look at the steps in them. And what we have here is we have these set states. And to do that, I'm going to go actually over here just to demonstrate. So we go over here to Element Actions, and we click on Set State, and then the element. So what you want to do is you want to click Custom States, okay? And Custom States is the name of the page. And then I've already got these two predefined custom states, Pick Group and Select Button. But just for demonstration, I'm going to say Test. And for the state type, you've got all these different choices. And what I do on mine is I click Text. For this demo, we'll be using text, and you'll see why in a moment. Another one that I'll use every once in a while is yes or no for some different use cases, but we'll stick with text. And then basically we have the custom state name here, and then we have values. So I'm just going to type in test case. Now, one thing to note as we're going through this, so I have test case here. This test case and this test case and this test case are all, those are three different values. So one thing you want to make sure when you are using text and creating a value for them, that you are consistent using the value, and it is case sensitive, as well as you might expect, if you put spaces in there or not. So that's a different value as well, a unique value. Okay. So again, custom state, that's the name of the page. Pick group is one that I've already created. And then I have group 1. And what this one does is this is basically going to be used to pick one of the groups. And then similarly here, I've got another set state. And this one is going to be select button, which I've already created. I'm actually going to delete this one here. And maybe being used, so I can't delete it from here. Interesting. So select button and then button 1. And basically, again, these are text fields, so group 1, button 1. Over here, custom states, pick group, group 2, and button 2. Custom states, pick group, group 3, button 3. Okay. And so what we're basically doing is just assigning those values to the custom states. Now what we have over here is in the conditional. Come over here. Now what I like to do is whenever a button is hovered, I like to just change the background color and the font. In terms of the custom state, so basically what we have here is we have a custom state, select button, and then the value. So when the value is button 1, I want to change the background color of this button and also the font color. So let me just go and so just set this up. Custom states, again, the name of the page. And then down here, so these are standard options with Bubble. And now since I've got custom states, I have the choice here. So select button is, and then when it's button 1, then I can go and make the element visible or invisible. Now again, one thing to remember, since this is text, this is a different value than this one here. And this is a different value than this here. So you want to make sure one big issue or quick diagnostic if you're running into problems is that typically the text value is different between when the conditional is set up here in the workflow and then right here. So just make sure that you have it set up correctly. And then similarly over here, button 2 and button 3. Now over here for the groups, it's similar. Again, we've got the conditional. And then when the custom states pick group is group 1, I make it visible. And when it is not group 1, I hide it. Again, group 2. When it's group 2, make it visible. When it's not, hide it. And with group 3. So it's really that straightforward. The biggest challenge is, again, making sure that you get the text field correctly. Now what I've done here is, let me just hide this one. Actually, I want to show this one and this one. So on group 1, again, it's similar. When it's group 1, make it visible. When it's not group 1, hide it. It's the same condition between these two. And then similarly, group 2, group 2. Just like that. And it's that simple to do. Now, one other thing to note on here is to set up states for default. Now, back to the workflow, I could have put a workflow on here when page is loaded. I could have gone and done a set state and set the value and so on and so forth. I could have done that. But instead, a bit of a trick here is if I click on my page here, custom states, and I go and I click the little info icon, let me move this over, you can see the custom states are listed: pick group, select group, and test. And there, I just deleted test. I'm not sure why I couldn't do that in the workflow. And I have the default value. Okay, so group 1 and button 1. Now let's just go see. I'll refresh the page. Group 1 is shown. Now if I went over here and I change this to group 2, like that, refresh the page, and group 2 is going to be the default value. So that's just something to be aware of, that you can go at the page level and you can go and initialize, have the default value for these custom states, which is very powerful. It's very nice and convenient to have that. Now again, so you can add a custom state here. Again, I'll just make a test and I'll just call it text like that. So you can go and create it here. That's one option you can do. I showed you how to do it in the workflow over here. Let me just pick one of these existing workflows. You can go element action, set state, custom state, create a new custom state. So that's another way that you can go and create it. The other way you can create it is if you come over to the conditional to any one of these, and you can define another condition, and then just scroll down, and again, custom states, the name of the page. Create a new custom state. I can go and do the same thing. I can create a custom state right from that, right in the conditional here. So that's another way that you can go and create a custom state. So Bubble is pretty nice in that regard, that you can create custom states from a variety of different places within the workflow, within the element itself, or at the page by clicking on information. So that's a very nice thing to be able to do. One other thing to point out, let's go with one of these buttons here. So since these, I'm actually going to do it with a button is hovered because I use that in all three of these buttons. What I can do is you can right click or double click with your mouse and you can do a copy condition. And then you can go to a different group and then just pick a spot, like right here is fine, and then paste condition. And you'll see it shows up. So this is very nice to be able to do. Again, I can come over to group 3 button here, and I can go and paste condition, and it's going to paste it. So that's just something to be aware of. If you have a lot of buttons or groups and they have very similar conditions, especially when it gets into typing, it's very convenient to be able to copy and paste the conditions. Makes it a lot quicker and easier and less prone to messing up in your typing. One other thing I added onto this page is I just put a little text field just to show what the custom states, select button, and pick group values are. So when I come over here, you can see it's button 1, group 1, button 1, and the group 1 changes and changes as well. So that's basically how to implement custom state to go and hide and show elements, or in this case groups. I could have just as easily had this text field go and hide it or show it or whatever. Again, any element that you have, repeating groups that you may have on there, other buttons that you have on there. So it's very nice and flexible and powerful. So give it a try, and I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks.